Oh, I've been watching horror films.
Okay, I knew it was horror
Um,
related, given the month we're recording.
What? No.
It's November.
Yeah, I mean, at this point when it comes out, they can go and look at my entire thread of all the stuff I watched. So, go follow me on Twitter at @rebel_Notorious. And I'm at 20 now, and it is the 18th of October. I'm a little bit ahead.
What?
I was gonna watch more horror movies, and still haven't really started yet.
I've watched a lot, and it's been a mixed bag.
Yeah, there've been a lot of 6 out of 10s.
Yeah,
I've seen.
I think it wouldn't be so bad if so many of them weren't average. It's almost better when they're either really fucking good or really fucking bad.
Like Seed of Chucky.
Don't. Actually, that's just the worst. Yeah, so highlights of the bad ones. Seed of Chucky. I watched all the Chucky movies. It is by far no, yeah, it's the worst.
It's
the
the worst.
sequel isn't better, but it is more watchable. Not sequel, the reboot is more watchable, but it's not good. It's the same score I gave it. No, wait, I gave it less, I think, but that's more like an actual critical evaluation of it. Seed of Chucky at least has some haha moments. What else have I watched? I watched a film called Silent House. And now I think I've told you about it, but I haven't brought it up to Melina.
No.
So I was watching another movie, and at the start on the Blu-ray there was a trailer for a film with Elizabeth Olsen in it. It was called Silent House, and the premise is that it is shot. I can't say it was shot as. It was presented as one long continuous take for 86 minutes.
Yeah.
And so I was like, sign me the fuck up. I watched the trailer and I'm like, sign me the fuck up. Because basically, so her and her dad, they are basically doing up their old house to sell it off. And it's sort of out, not in the middle of nowhere, but at the edge of town. It's a bit kind of removed. And so they don't have, because they don't live there anymore. There's no power. It's being squatted in and all that sort of stuff. Their cells don't work out there, and so they're doing it up. There's no lights and all that sort of thing, and the windows are all boarded up because people have smashed them and people have squatted in it and all that sort of shit. And they think someone's in the house with them because they lock the door behind them at one point when they're they're clearing it out. And so they think someone's in there with them because the dad kind of goes missing for a bit. And so Elizabeth Olsen's trying to find him. Eventually
big house, huh?
Yeah,
Big
it is actually quite a big house.
It's
There's
like a mansion type of house?
Nah, it's 3 floors.
Ooh.
It's
That's
sort
a
of
big
a
house.
classic kind of American, kind of grander house.
No, yeah, I know.
And so she goes looking for him, but also she thinks there's someone in there with her.
Yeah.
Eventually she finds the dad and he's injured, and so she's like, fuck, I need to get out and get help.
Is it Mr. Bear?
So she finds a key that doesn't open the front door, but it opens the sort of door out of the basement, because America has that weird thing where there's the doors in the ground and you open them up and you go downstairs and there's there's a door into the basement. So she gets that key. And so she goes down into the basement and she finds a bedroom, a makeshift bedroom in the basement. And then the person follows her down in there, so she has to hide from him. And eventually she gets out and the uncle comes by because he was helping them. And him and her dad got into a big argument and he left, and so that was when all that started. So he goes back in, he goes looking for the dad, he gets hurt as well, and so she goes in looking for him. And it's weird because at the start of the film, when they're talking with Elizabeth Olsen, whose character name I can't remember, something's very off. The way she talks to the uncle and the way she talks to the dad. So you're immediately like, something's not right.
Yeah.
Before even any of the horror stuff starts. And then when the horror stuff starts, the dad finds pictures on the bed that he quickly hides from Elizabeth Olsen. And you're like,
Why?
something's up for that.
Yeah.
And then when the dad's hurt and her and the uncle are going back in to look for him, the uncle then finds the photos in the hallway lying on the ground, and he hides them from her as well. And you're like, what's on these fucking photos?
What do they know?
Yeah, so you're like, something is very off. And then when it's all sort of kind of coming to a climax, I'm going to spoil this film, because I know neither of you are going to watch it.
Correct.
Yeah, you're right.
So if you've never seen Silent House and you don't want it spoiled for you, go watch it now. You can pick it up very cheaply in the UK. I got it for like £6.
Drum roll for the reveal.
So when it's all coming to a head, they're in like a sort of games room up on the top floor, and there's like a generator in there that they're like, well, the light wasn't on in there before, so they go in. The generator cuts out, and so Elizabeth Olsen panics and gets under the table, and the uncle gets like dragged out of the room. But then when the lights come back on, she sees a little girl sitting on the pool table that she's underneath with two guys like taking pictures of her.
Oh.
And so you're like, oh.
Oh no.
And now a main thing of this, when they were clearing the house, when she was clearing her room earlier in the film, she was putting clothes in a bag, like a rubbish bag. And one of them was a pink, like, tutu dress skirt thing.
Yeah,
you know
yeah.
those?
Yeah.
The girl's wearing the same one. And so you're like, oh, fuck.
Oh god.
Then she goes down into the living room and the dad's tied up. And it turns out the whole twist of this film is that she was the one in the house. She was experiencing this as like her trauma from her past because
She was the girl.
she was the girl. She had been sexually abused by her dad and her uncle. And so this was her like dissociating and like attacking them. And she like imagined it as this home invader.
Very interesting.
And it was a
Very
really
good
good film.
concept, wow.
Yeah, it was so close to being like a 9 out of 10. And then like even like I like the concept and I like where it went, but because it had to like stop everything to reveal the story and like kind of bring it all kind of a nice tie up, all the momentum, all the tension, it went away. And I mean, props to Elizabeth Olsen. Like she acted the shit out of this role. You know, she is terrified 90% of the time, and then when it gets to the reveal, she jumps between the personalities, and it is incredible. Like acting from her, very good film. But it was like what did I give it? Like a 6.5 out of 10, 7,
Something like that. Yeah.
yeah, very close to like a high scoring movie.
Yeah,
And then just because it had to like kill all the pacing that had built up and the tension, and like as an outcome for a horror film, it's not particularly scary, you know?
Yeah.
There's no big moment at the end. It's unsettling because of the topic it's handling.
Yeah.
But it's not, it's not the scariest horror film in that regard. It was scarier when it wasn't showing you anything, when it was following her and the camera would pan round her and only show you her face, and she's like walking around and you're like, what the fuck's in front of her? And you're like, what the fuck is behind this camera? Because you feel like you are the camera.
Yeah.
And you're sitting there like, oh, what the fuck is behind me? So there was something more claustrophobic about, that setup. But yeah, so yeah. If you want to know what I've thought about other horror films I've watched, you can check my Twitter thread from that. It'll probably be pinned to my timeline. Plug, yeah. Rebel at Rebel under dash Notorious. Yep.
What a preamble.
Yeah. Should we get into it?
Yeah, let's get into it.